Perhaps we can also add the name of the country right after the hub.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. We will get started now that our waiting room is empty. Today, we have nearly 200 participants, which is amazing. Thank you all for tuning in and spending some time with us. My name is Natalie, and I lead global programming for the Global Shapers community. And as you know, the Global Shapers community has two goals. The first, to support young leaders, including all of you, and the second, to strengthen communities through hub projects and other initiatives. And despite what's happening around the world with COVID-19, these goals are as vital in this time of crisis as ever. So despite the challenges this pandemic presents, we're finding new ways to fulfill our mission, including onboarding all incoming curators and vice curators, including the members of this call. So 2 weeks ago, we hosted a feedback session asking you what type of virtual programming would you find meaningful before, during, and after our virtual annual curators meeting. And more than 150 of you answered that survey. And the number one answer by far were opportunities to connect informally and build relationships with your peers. So that's what we're going to do today. We'll host 3 sessions before the virtual summit. And really taking your feedback to heart. The Global Shapers team is not going to lead this session. This session is truly by Shapers, for Shapers. I can see the relief on all of your faces. I am not going to be the facilitator of this session. This is the last you're going to hear from me and the Global Shapers team. And instead, this session will be facilitated by incoming and outgoing curators, just the way it should be. So today's moderators and facilitators will include Juan and Zofia, incoming and outgoing curators from the Cambridge Hub, and Abe and Thomas, incoming and outgoing curators from the Beijing 2 Hub. So without further ado, I'm passing it over to our moderators, and I'm thanking the 220 participants on this call who are joining us for today's conversation.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thanks, Natalie, for the introduction. I'm Zofia from Cambridge Hub, incoming curator for this year. And before we head right into the topics to discuss today, let me just give you a very brief introduction as to how this session came about. So as Natalie was saying, how they were already planning for a long while how to support outgoing and incoming curatorships, Shapers have been discussing for some time what's the impact of the pandemic situation all over the world on our leadership, on supporting our hubs, motivating our hub members. And these informal discussions led to one call informally back in April, where some of us were already there and we were discussing challenges. We discussed the uncertainty that all of us are facing. And then we joined our efforts, which is so exciting to see. So this is how these 3 sessions have been organized, the first one taking place now, and then having 2 more later in June. We'll have some more details about that later on. And really the objective of these calls is to give a free space for every one of us, outgoing, incoming curators, as well as vice curators, to talk about the challenges that we're facing, the experiences that we've got globally, and to practice active listening as well, so that, you know, to hear each other, to see how we can build further collaborations and just share experiences, so that later in June we can go into details as to what this mandate will mean for us in the next year. And then just a little bit of housekeeping before Thomas can go ahead with the first block for today. Please put your hub's name and potentially your country's name in your Zoom account name, so that we know where you're from. And also, please, throughout the session, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, then please go ahead and post it on the chat, so we can, you know, pick up on ideas and thoughts during this whole hour. So with that, thanks so much for joining. It's very exciting to have all of you again here online. And Thomas, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Sophia, and hello, everybody. It's great to see so many old and new friends on the call today. As Sophia mentioned, we're doing a series leading up to the annual curators meeting in June, and we've decided to call the series Runway to Leadership. This idea being that for incoming curators and vice curators, this is really the chance to prepare and get everything ready before takeoff on July 1st, and for outgoing curators and vice curators to be able to pass the baton. And so with that, today's session, the first of this three-part series, is going to be called Charting Your Course. And we're just going to be reflecting on the courses that we've taken either as outgoing curators or the courses that are ahead of us as incoming hub leaders. We're going to have a lot more time to discuss the nuts and bolts of curatorship and how you do things later on and during the ACM in June. But for today, we really wanted everyone to have a chance to step back, think about their vision and goals, either what they accomplished as current leaders or what they want to accomplish as incoming leaders, and really discuss among peers in breakout rooms later. When it comes to charting our course, again, one thing that's so inspiring to see is how, despite all of our different countries and contexts, we're all in a very similar situation right now with this uncertainty of the pandemic. And so with that, we wanted to give a chance to have 4 curators, so 2 incoming curators and 2 outgoing curators, give a very brief sharing about what they've been experiencing, how they've been feeling during the transition, and what they hope to achieve over the next year. So with that, we'll have 4 very quick sharings, 2 minutes each, and then after that, we'll have a chance to split out into breakout rooms and discuss some of these key questions. And I would like to start with Yanju from Lagos. If you're there, give a shout. Do we have a Yanju from Lagos online?
Yanju, you can unmute yourself easily, hopefully.
Okay, no worries. We'll then have another one of our current outgoing curators, Laura from Montreal. Laura, if you're online.
Yes. Hey, everyone. Good morning. Buenos dias from
Hey,
Montreal, sunny Montreal. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm so happy to see curators coming together, incoming and ongoing curators. I think it's really important. And I think just to reflect in that question that where we are and how we're experiencing this, I realize I don't want to address that because we all live this experience so different. So what I really want to leave everyone with is just probably an advice for incoming curators. And I've been thinking, I was thinking this morning, what would be my advice? And I think I have 3 steps to give everyone. And the first is just be kind to yourself. I know when you apply to curatorship, you have probably so many goals and you wanted to take your hub to the next level. But this situation is it's unprecedented, right? And it's so out of our control. So be kind to yourself. I know we're trying to be all of us overachievers, but probably this is not the right environment to be that kind of person. So be kind to yourself, and in that same sense, be kind to your members. Try to meet your members where they're at. Not all of them are really good with virtual meetings. Something that I've been trying to do with my incoming curator as well is try to do some visit some of our shapers from distance, on their window, on a park. Just try to meet them where they are. Try to check in with them. Not everyone is good with WhatsApp and stuff like that. And also, and I think the last one is just enjoy the process. I think you guys have such an amazing opportunity. I know many of us are thinking, okay, so sad that they don't get to meet in person in Geneva, but I think this is such an amazing opportunity to lead in these times, right? You get to prove not only to your peers in the hub, but you get to prove to yourself what you can accomplish in this kind of situation. And I'm so happy to see that the Global Shapers community team is there to support you. And I'm sure that if you put a lot of energy and a lot of love into this experience, you're going to get a lot out of it, and make the most of these connections online. I'm sure that you're going to build some nice friendships, and you will get even a better opportunity to meet someone from, I don't know, the other side of the world. Whether if you're in a personal session, is really hard to connect with everyone, but here you really have access to everyone. So I think those are my three points. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your members, and then make the most of this experience and enjoy the process.
Thank you so much, Laura. I love that piece about kindness. It's so important right now. It looks like we do have Yanju on the line. So Yanju, If you're there, your question is, how have you had to shift your leadership strategy over the past few months as outgoing curator, and what have you learned about leadership in the process?
Okay, Thomas, sorry I missed the other time when you called my name. Yeah,
It's okay.
everyone. Yeah, I think it's been interesting to, to be leading the hub at this challenging time and interesting time. So far, I think, fortunately and luckily, with the help of the team members, especially here in the Lagos hub, it has really been interesting moving from, the usual number that we know to the new number that we have right now. But I think the few things that have helped me out will be first is the ability to be able to, have um, uh, rightly discharge duties to every member of the team. So I think every member of the Lagos hub have stepped up to handling their responsibilities. So clearly, identifying and breaking down the responsibilities for every team members has really helped. Everyone being able to identify and know exactly what their role is at every point in time for every responsibility. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, we had two major projects that we were running in the hub. And immediately the pandemic came up, we had to pause like all of the projects. We were planning for hosting Shape Africa, and we had to stop that also. So you can imagine, like I think it had a huge impact on us as a hub, because we had so much that we're planning for. We're planning to host, the whole of shapers in the region and beyond. So I mean, it had huge impact on us. And at first, I was sort of a bit shocked and wondering how we're going to cope with it. But I mean, I think it was interesting to realize that the members of the team were able to step up rightly, and immediately we moved to responding to the pandemic. We moved to responding to assisting our community in resolving this pandemic. And I think one thing that helped us was the swiftness to the hub members being able to move quickly to addressing and supporting the communities. So, the interest to really want to help the community, help in addressing the initial fears that everybody had when the pandemic came up. There was this initial fear and nobody knew what was going to happen. But immediately, the empathy that every member of the hub displayed in addressing and supporting the community really helped us. And it was like we were ahead of the game. So everybody was thinking of, what do we need to do in our community? How do we need to help everyone? And also quickly, we were able to, engage well with our partners. Leading to hosting Shape Africa, we've engaged with several partners, but we were able to, communicate with them swiftly, speaking to them about the present challenge. And the interesting thing is that a lot of our partners are right now assisting and helping us with our COVID-19 response. So one of the initiatives we're doing right now is a fundraising. And guess what? A lot of the partners that we had that were supposed to support us for Shape Africa are one of the key partners that are right now supporting us with our COVID initiative. So a lot of them, are turning up. A lot of them came to us to say, guys, what are you doing in this time? And it was easy because we already came up with plans. So a lot of them are really assisting us. So I think one key thing is
Andrew, I'm so sorry, I have to call time.
Yeah,
I love the stories, and I would love to hear, I think we all would, about what's next for Shape Africa, but unfortunately we do have to call time now.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you so much though, and I love what you were talking about with empowerment and kind of pivoting and the resilience that your hub has shown. Thank you guys so much. When it comes to our incoming curators, you all are in a much different situation than the outgoing curators when we started last year. I want to hear from two of you as well, and please do keep in mind 2 minutes for each person. First person I want to hear from is Clodagh from Dublin, and your question is, how have you adapted to a different leadership environment from what you had expected? Clodagh.
Hi, Thomas, and thanks so much for that. I'll try and keep within the 2 minutes. So obviously expectations completely shifted. We had a whole digital transition. What I would underline is it's been a very exciting experience from the point that we're moving to a whole new agile model. And I appreciate that might be terrifying at the same time, but I would just encourage people to actually fully grasp that and avail of the all the creative elements that are associated with it. Don't let that hinder your recruitment process. It certainly hasn't for us. Don't let it, serve as a barrier to your project work. We're looking at kind of our online content campaigns where we're focusing on really relevant issues like the pandemic. And, again, we're trying to also focus on self-development. I think one of the earlier speakers mentioned is that people are coming into this from different positions. So just account for all shapers. Try and reduce the meeting lengths that you have, and try and kind of focus on self-development as well for shapers.
Awesome. Yeah, love that. Agile is I think the word of the moment right now. Thank you so much, Clara. And our second incoming curator, I want to hear from Daniel from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Daniel, I want to ask you, how are you working towards your curator goals given the indefinite uncertainty? Who knows when we'll go back to normal and what that will look like? Is Daniel online?
Yep, I am. Thank you, Thomas, for the question. Good evening, everyone from Kuala Lumpur. So I just want to say that it's such an interesting time to be curator this time around. And then traditional leadership has to be upgraded in order for us to maintain a cohesive team in our hub. And I just want to share with you about what I did in my hub. So the first one is to build a strong foundation. So as a leader, we need to actually be clear about our hub mission and remind our shapers that we have our own set of objectives. And then what we can do is actually to map each members of the hub strengths, motivation, and passion into our hub objective. And then as a leader, we also need to align this to our areas of impact. So what I did was I designed a very short questionnaire for my hub members last year. I called it the hub DNA, and I uploaded it in my top link. I mean, if you guys want to check it out. So what this questionnaire did was to actually map everything so that everything is aligned. And then the second one is you have to be human. So as a curator, you need to sincerely believe that your shapers can actually deliver impactful work. And then you have to celebrate all the small wins, such as shapers' individual projects, and then their effort to help their own communities and so on. So when they feel appreciated, they actually become very motivated. And the third one would be, we have to be mindful with different personalities. So as we know, shapers made up of group of people with strong personalities. And then as a leader, you need to know when to prompt interactions, and you want to maintain this communication throughout your term. And you have to also pay attention to your extroverts and introverts in your team. And finally, what I did was I think everyone should do this as well, to give some time for you and your hub and your team to adjust. So it's something new, it's something new for everyone around the world. And you have to believe that your hubs need each other. You need each other in the hub. And to do that, you have to maintain a constant communication with the hub. So what we did in Kuala Lumpur is that we update each other regularly in a WhatsApp group so that we know everyone is doing well. I think during this time as a curator, it's so important to build up the foundation from inside and out. And then only we can go and think about how to create change in our community. So that's my opinion about it. Looking forward to learn from everyone tonight.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you to everyone. Why don't we all give them either a round of applause with our hands or with the Zoom emoji. Yeah, I totally agree with Daniel. We all need each other, especially now. And we've had 4 people share. We're going to have a chance over the next half hour or so for all 262 of us to share with each other and really try and just think through our experiences, think through our goals, and connect with other people who are going through very similar things as we are. So thank you, everyone. With that, I'm going to pass the mic to Beijing 2 Hub's outgoing curator, Abe Sorak.
Cool. Thank you, Thomas, and everybody who's shared so far. The curator experience is extremely unique, but I think we can all relate to what everybody was saying and take a lot out of it, which is the purpose of the next exercise, the next section of the discussion here. So as Natalie mentioned, one of the joys of being part of the Global Shapers community and the curators community is having each other to talk to and learn from. And as Sophia mentioned, now we've got an opportunity to connect with people who, we might have not ever thought to connect with because of the geographic boundaries that now, we're kind of forced to work around. And so over the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to break out into Zoom breakout rooms of 3 to 4 people. And you'll be meeting people that, maybe you've never had a chance to interact with before, but you'll find, I think, have a lot in common. And what I want to share with you over the next minute or so before we break out into those rooms is how to make the most out of this time. So during these breakout groups, we're going to have a mix of folks who are incoming curators and outgoing curators. And if you're an incoming curator, we want you to introduce yourself and your vision for why you ran to be a curator in your hub this year, and how you feel that your mandate may have changed given what's happened since people decided to run versus where we're at now. So incoming curators, introduce yourself, introduce your vision. If you're an outgoing curator, we want you to introduce yourself with the sense of your greatest accomplishment and how you feel that the current situation has changed the course of your hub. So that's how we want people to introduce themselves and their perspectives. And then we use these 15 minutes to explore some of the similarities and differences, compare notes a little bit, and explore some of the questions that you've got that you want to learn from these next few sessions that are part of this Runway series, and then also during your course leading up to the summit in June. So that's the breakout. Please, by the time that the session is over at around 3:40 Geneva time, come back ready to share some of the insights that you've got in the group chat, and hopefully have made a friend and got some insights that'll get you on your path to a successful curator year. And with that,
real quick for the organizing team, since the breakout rooms will be a little bit bigger than we thought, maybe 5 or 6 in total, can we give people a little bit more time in the breakout rooms? Is that okay?
Absolutely. I can add a few more minutes.
Okay, that's all for me.
Cool. Well, everybody have fun. This is one of the joys of being part of this community. So thanks again to the forum team, everybody who's taken time out of their day to be part of this session. What a ride. So have fun.
Do we need some kind of like mood setting music until everyone joins?
If you have any suggestions, go.
100%.
Does anyone?
Or you can sing.
Anyone have an instrument nearby?
Any good singer? I see a bird.
Yes.
Oh, in Boulder, Colorado.
I'd like to propose to have a selfie.
Backgrounds are so cool. Like some of your backgrounds is so awesome.
Where did the bird go?
I'll get her back.
Beema in your background. How did you make this?
Yeah, Beeman's background is really awesome.
Yeah, Beeman's background making process.
Oh, hey, Beeman.
Oh my God!
We have a bird here.
I raise backyard chickens, so these are the chickens. They always are a hit on Zoom calls, so I figure I should bring them.
It's awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Chickens be one of our like
awesome.
Upskilling sessions.
Animals
Definitely.
are
Would be happy to
Music.
do a chicken training.
Sustainable agriculture and all that. Sustainable farming.
Excited for the meeting.
And food security.
Oh wow, that's so cute.
They're more interesting than just me.
Shipping.
Yeah.
The first, the shape
That's a
bird.
new way of stealing attention in Zoom call.
Absolutely. They were sitting far away from me, and then during the breakout session, they all came and were jumping on me, so they were probably distracting. Sorry for my. I think they left.
Part of the discussion in this call. So I hope everyone enjoyed the breakout rooms, and now we would like you to share in the chat some questions or insights that you came out from those rooms, and yeah, those will open a discussion between us basically. So yeah, if you had any. Okay, so we have some comments from the Sikan there. So you discussed, okay. Cool. Okay, so how do we keep shapers moving forward and leading in the community, even if we are in an online scenario nowadays? Because it seems this might not be like a short-term issue, right? But maybe we don't know how long we will be like this, maybe 1 year or so. So how do we keep the community engaged, even in an online situation? Is anyone who would like to comment on this?
I mean, I can comment very briefly. I mean, part of it's about learning which technology to use and how to kind of do that transfer. I mean, obviously not over relying on that, but seeing how all these different things that a lot of the things depended on the in-person chats, how we can move that. I mean, obviously Zoom, obviously Slack, but also how can documentation be more coherent?
Yeah.
Can I go next?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So for us, and this was one of the things that even came out in the session, that our entire curatorship period is going to be just the pandemic. I mean, hopefully the COVID will be behind us, but we'll still be recovering from the effects of it. And in our particular context, which is the Indian context, and all my other incoming curators and curators who are on the call will back me up, that India has a completely different set of challenges that are coming to them, with the largest migration in the history of country happening right now. So I think we will all, what it's going to look different is, I mean, of course, technology will have a huge part to play. But I think look at the ground to address some of these very unique challenges that are coming up in the next 1 year.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and that it might happen that we will have a virtual curatorship, right? And yeah, like Thomas is pointing out in the chat that, you know, we have all shared the fear that maybe we might not be able to deliver, you know, so raise your hands if you relate to that, you know, that maybe it might be challenging for you to deliver during an online situation. So is anyone else who has like, which are your concrete fears, you know, like, and that you would like to share with us, like, which is the thing that makes you think that maybe you might not be able to deliver this year in this online scenario? Which one is the major blocker you might find?
I think the communication and collaboration between hubs will be a bit more challenging.
Okay. Yeah, but at the same time, we have those online tools, right? That might also happen, that we can communicate easier with each other, right? Without geographical borders and so on.
May I share an insight?
Yes,
at least here in Latin America, we are facing an economic crisis within the pandemic. So one of the greatest fears that we are having now is how to deliver in the projects with this situation, this economic situation. And one of the strategies that we are following is to try to adjust the project's agenda to the stakeholders' agenda, mostly the state. So with that, we are now reaching new possibilities.
Can I also share something, perhaps a tip?
Yes.
One? So what I have been doing for the last few weeks is, because I thought I might feel quite alone with this last year, so I have been reaching out to many former curators of my hub, and I just asked them, like, can I have a call with you on how you would tackle this situation if you were again a curator like myself now? So, and some of them even reached out and said, well, I can even be mentoring you also in this situation for the coming year. So you don't have, what I want to say, you don't have to do it alone. There are so many, if you're a new hub, of course not, but there are former curators. There are others who can also help you through this situation. So that might be a tip.
If I can share an insight as well.
Yes, sir.
In Lyon, we focused our efforts mostly in, if I should say, without shocking everyone, ignoring the disease as it is. Because the point is, it's not supposed to be at the center of our problems, because much more educated and professional people are already working on it 24/7. And what we realized is that people are a bit fed up about the topic, and that other problems, you know, did not disappear during the crisis. So we decided that we should actually think about something that was already existing before, that will be existing after, and focus on our efforts on that point. So maybe the communication of our community should also, I think, be mindful of the how should I say that, communication on the topic, so that we would not find ourselves labeled as a medical community only focusing on COVID-19, when much more bigger problem, forgive my English, already exist and are still currently affecting many more people than this one. Thank you very much.
Can I add something to this point, because it really brought up a lot for me when you just said that, Maxime. For me, like, how I've chosen to think about it for the hub is that this like time of intensity is bringing out to the surface issues that were already present in our community, that maybe just were a little bit underneath, or maybe we weren't paying attention to. And so, like, I'd love for this year for us to use this as an opportunity to address these deep issues that are now coming out about inequality, about media literacy, about financial literacy of like my community. Like all of these things, like you said, they existed before, they'll continue to exist after, but maybe now people have like the insight to see them, because now it's becoming an issue because of Corona.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. So in my team, basically 4 of us were there. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So there was this one person who was vice curator, outgoing vice curator, and she shared how brilliantly they are doing, trying to bring in all the people together, taking care of their interests, even though it's happening virtually. But it's important that how, as vice curator and curator, we understand people's interests, and based on interest, we involve them at the different stages of the webinars or whatever thing that we are planning, so that we can build in a strong team for us in the future. And also they are planning to have an online retreat activity, so that people can have fun as well together. So one of the questions that I had for my hub was basically to build a strong team. So one of the team members shared that, he basically suggested that he can also share some of the techniques to basically facilitate circles online. So I feel these are the things where each of us can help more to be creative and also connect to each other. So yeah.
Building up on like what, hi guys, like can you hear me? So building up on like what Vishali was talking about, we are actually doing our retreat, like a virtual retreat. It's semi-virtual, so the people who are in Beijing right now is going to get together, people who are not is going to join from Zoom. And we're actually doing our one on this Saturday. So if you guys need like, tips around creating this semi-virtual type of new retreat culture, I'm pretty happy to share with you guys how we're just doing. It's actually a lot of work.
Thank you, Vimal. Yeah, the reaching to have retreated that sounds would be amazing. And I think I see in the chat a lot of people also talking about how we socialize better in an online community. And so virtual retreats are a super idea for that. Overall, I feel that this pandemic is showing the vulnerabilities of our community, and that we need to now to be stronger as never to fight this together and improve the way we communicate and we collaborate also globally, and work in projects that have an impact in the local communities also. So you can keep posting comments in the chat, because we will save the chats and we will have a look to them later. But now I have to pass the floor to Sofia to give the closing remarks. But thank you everyone for sharing all your thoughts and your fears with us. Yeah, that was amazing.
Thanks, Juan, so much. And yeah, our time is nearly up. And I think we spent this hour very productively and so efficiently. And I was thinking what would be the key takeaways for me, at least, from all this. And I think what I realized is that despite these changed circumstances and the uncertainty and all of these issues that like we discussed in the breakout rooms and here in the whole meeting, something I realized is a strength that both outgoing and incoming curators and vice curators have at the moment is coming up with new solutions and organizing things from, a bottom-up approach. Like if we don't know what should happen, then basically we come up with a solution and we get in touch with each other. So I mean, like looking through the chat and seeing how many hubs got in touch with each other to see how others are doing things, trying to use different approaches on how to tackle this pandemic, and like organizing ourselves and getting to action, and not just like being, taking a step back and being afraid of the situation. It's amazing to see, and it's very inspiring as well. So with that, I would like to thank very much the facilitation team and the headquarters as well, Albina, Natalie, and Samira helping us to do this. Thomas, Abe, Juan, thanks so much for facilitation as well. And the next session will take place on the 4th of June. So in about 3 weeks' time, at the same time, which is 3 p.m. CEST. And we'll, of course, post about this on Toppling, on Facebook, on all the WhatsApp groups. So please stay tuned. And, like if there's any thoughts, any initiatives, any ideas, meanwhile, that you think is like important for all of us to talk about, then we have these platforms to get in touch with each other. So yeah, with that, I think thanks all for joining, and see you next time again. Okay.
Sofia, may I?
Together.
Sofia? I'm Avi from Pristina Hub. I just wanted, before we close, to propose take a virtual selfie, or at least try to. If you're okay with that. I would.
That's such a great idea. Can we?
Well, we tried in our group and it worked. So let's see. I'm gonna try now.
Okay, please go ahead and try.
Yes.
I love the beard.
Wow, look at the chicken.
I love the idea of the virtual selfie.
Yeah, it's a very nice idea. I think it worked.
But this is
not
a virtual
the best
selfie
quality ever, but maybe somebody else can try as well. But mine
it's not
is
screenshot.
Okay, I'll take a screenshot, and then everyone can take a screenshot, and we can, do a collage.
Oh yeah, and you can post it in the group, in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, everyone, let's take a screenshot and let's post it on WhatsApp.
Yeah, great idea.
Okay, sure.
Would be nice to share the WhatsApp group or something.
Yeah, WhatsApp group. I'm posting mine already. Okay.
That's posted in Slack too.
Mine. Maybe share it on Toppling.
Yeah.
Well, how is time to taking selfies? I only wanna send
so many energies, positives, so many love for all you guys, because we speak about that in our group, in a little group, but we can feel the passion for doing something for our communities. So thanks so much for give that energy. We are only between a computer and laptop, and we can feel the energy for all you guys. So thanks so much for that. It's the really good way to renew the energy, to renew the passion, the wins to do something more. So I only want to send you the best love, all the energy for you, and you have a home, you have a family here, and I love you so much. Be shaper and doing and shaping now.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, so much.
Again, the great thing is it doesn't have to end. We'll see everybody on June 4th, maybe with a surprise guest speaker, maybe not. So
we're all counting
in
on a surprise guest speaker.
a few weeks.
Now we need it.
Yeah.
Awesome. See you in a few weeks.
Eat an own hummus.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 See you guys.
See ya.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.